Finding safe, secure parking just got easier with truckparkingclub.com. Book spots in real time with no long-term commitments, whether you need it for a night or a month. Use promo code DELIVERED for a discount at checkout. Park smart, rest easy, and keep rolling strong with truckparkingclub.com.
Welcome back to another episode of That's Delivered. I'm your host, Trucking Ray, and today we have a special guest, someone who embodies the heart and soul of the open road, a man who's logged over 3 million miles behind the wheel while also making waves in the country music industry. He's the real deal, truck driver, country singer, and storyteller, Tony Justice. We're going to dig deep into his life while growing up around big rigs and chasing musical dreams and everything in between. Hey, Tony, first of all, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Good morning to you and all your viewers.
Man, I'm so honored to have you here. I know you're a busy man, balancing life on the road and on stage. I appreciate your time here. Let's start with right from the beginning. You grew up in Elkhorn Creek, Kentucky, and your father, he was a trucker. What was that like? What were some of the greatest memories of being around trucks and the lifestyle?
Just looking back today at those memories, the greatest part is the memories. I had 3 brothers growing up and a sister and myself, so we had quite the clan. Dad had to keep us pretty busy, just to, I guess, probably keep us out of trouble. So we every weekend our chores was to work on the trucks. He worked in and out of the coal mines, so he would grease those trucks every weekend. He'd wash them every weekend, and a few times during the week. He is pretty particular about his trucks, but he would literally grease the trucks every weekend because when you're going out of coal mines, it's one of two things: it's either really bad muddy or it's really bad dusty. And so he stayed on top of his game with his truck, keeping that thing maintained and in good shape. So those trucks, they got a workout back in the day. I remember one of my fondest memories was going trucking with my dad one day when I was little, and they had a D9 setting about 3/4 up the road, going up to the top of the mountain, and they were bringing the D9 down, hooking the trucks, and having to pull them on up to the top of the mountain up there, because of the snow and the mud and all that. But it's just it was a lot of good childhood memories between getting in fights, little arguments with my brothers while we was greasing the trucks. I remember some mornings being so cold. You couldn't hardly squeeze the grease out of the grease gun. It was just like every pump of that grease gun was like every ounce of strength you had, to get it. And but that was like that. Dad had the motto that if he taught us a good hard work ethic, that we won't always have everything we want in life, but we'll always have everything we need in life as long as we knew how to work and didn't mind to work. So that's kind of the way we was brought up, and just a lot of great memories of Eastern Kentucky in those times.
That's perfect. Do you have a story where you got to steer the truck or shift the gears?
Yeah, I mean, I got everybody, pretty much the same typical anybody else story that grew up with a dad or grandfather or somebody in their family that trucked, sitting on his lap, steering wheel was that big then, and thinking that you're driving when I'm sure he was sitting over with his arm on the steering wheel, up here underneath you without just driving and putting your hand on the gear shift, under his when he shift the gears, and things like that. So yeah, I had a lot of those experiences, a lot of those memories still.
Nice. Were there any road trips or specific hauls that stood out to you?
I remember, back in the early memories of Dad trucking, it was all local. In and out of the coal mines, he hauled coal, ended up buying 2 of his own trucks. 2 of my uncles drove 2 of the trucks. He drove one of the other ones. And so I did a lot of those runs up and down US 23 from, Pikeville, Kentucky, Paintsville area, and out of the different coal mines there, hauling the coal to Ashland, Kentucky, over on the Ohio River, around Catlettsburg, that area. But then when we moved to Tennessee, Dad had a heart attack in '84, I think, and he loved it up here in Tennessee. We'd come up here on vacation, and Mom wanted to get him out from underneath the stress. Co-business was really starting to decline, in that time frame, and she wanted to get him away from all the stress. So we moved up here, and he ended up getting a job with a company called Highway Transport out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And so the first road trip over the road I went with him on, I was, I guess, probably 8th grade, something like that. And we went to Texas, and I was a huge Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers fan back in the Terry Bradshaw days, and Starbuck days. And I remember he went out of his way in Dallas to go to where we would go by the stadium and see the Dallas stadium. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I've never forgotten that.
Nice. Yeah. Fond memories are something dear to our heart. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps us going, right?
I'm sorry?
It keeps us going, right?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, I was thinking, also, you had music early on in your life. Your mom was in the gospel band, and you played bass guitar as about 7 years old. Is that right? Yeah.
So, I tell people ask me all the time, what come first, music or trucking, and I always give the same answer from the very first time I was asked that question is I don't remember a time in my life where either one wasn't not a part of my life. And so, even though we started out early, early memories with Dad and the trucks, no matter what we were doing around the house, outside the house, there was always music playing. Mom would be playing the piano and practicing. She had a gospel group, and she'd be practicing songs. Or Dad would have the radio outside going with Johnny Cash or George Jones or all those great country giants singing on the radio while we were outside working on the trucks and things. So that just developed right along with the trucking side of things in my childhood. And I guess I had a knack or a gift to pick up on that. And the preacher's son, when we went to church, his name was Jerry Castle. He played bass guitar. Me and him were really good buddies. He was a little older than me, but he was patient with me, and I always looked up to him. And he played bass, and I just picked up his bass one day, and I really would sit and just watch him during church, what he was doing. And it's like when I picked it up, I already kind of knew what to do a little bit, just a matter of getting the finesse of touch, holding the strings just right and hitting them just right. So it was something I picked up really quick. And by the time I was 7, I would, wherever Mom would go with her and her gospel group, whatever church they were performing at that weekend, I played bass for them. So it's a good time.
Nice. Man, that's awesome. The environment like that, being around family, that's got to help in a large way, man. It's those good memories. Everybody needs that in their life. And that's great to hear that they were there for each other and creating those good memories, man. I like that. Yeah, thanks for telling us that.
A great childhood. I wouldn't take anything for it. Wouldn't change a thing.
Beautiful. Did you ever write any songs as a young one?
I never really did. I was not a pencil and paper fan. Anything that made me sit still to have to do it, I wasn't a fan of it. I was wide open. I probably had ADT back before ADT was a thing. I remember, I'd get in trouble in school a lot, and the teachers called my mom in one time, and like, hey, me want to take him to the doctor. I think he might be, hyperactive. I think they called it back then. And we went to see a doctor, and they wanted to put me on Valiums at like 6th grade. And my mom's like, I'm not putting my kid on Valium. So, I guess that's a long answer to your question. But, yeah, I never did write. I didn't start writing any until I was probably 20, 21 years old before I really caught the fever to write. And, boy, once I wrote that first song, I was addicted to it.
All right. What was your first live performance like?
It was it's kind of embarrassing to start off with. It was a songwriter competition up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee at TG's north of the border Mexican restaurant. And friend of mine that got me into it, Rick Cogburn, he's like, man, you need to go up here and enter the songwriters contest. And I said, man, I've only written one song, and you could do 3 songs in this contest. I said, well, just do the one you wrote, and I entered that thing with the song that I wrote called This Old House, and ended up winning against like 8 other songwriters who had 3 songs. And I really had never wanted anything in my life up to that point. I'm probably 20, 21, 22-year-old, era, that age frame. And I'd really never been successful, what I called successful at anything. And so that was really the first thing that I wanted. Just, really, it hooked me, hook, line, and sinker. Next thing I know, I'm trying to be a songwriter. So
that's it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story, man. Awesome. Thank you. I mean, you spent your earlier 20s performing music. Tell me about that. Were you actively chasing a record deal, or were you focused more on playing and just having fun and making good memories?
I was just playing and having fun. I didn't. It was sometime later, I said, hey, maybe I need to go to Nashville, this and that. And by the time that come along, I was, I had a daughter and another one on the way. And I was never really willing to uproot my family and go to Nashville to chase a dream. My number one key was supporting my family, and music would always fall somewhere behind that. And so I didn't want to uproot my whole family to go chase a dream. So I just kind of stayed around here and continued to write and perform wherever they let me perform at. And I'd go to Nashville every now and then. I, would demo some songs. And I started building relationships. Every time I'd go down there, I'd meet a few more people. And, but we never moved to Nashville and knocked on doors. I never tried to really get a record deal. And I think, now looking at the way record deals are, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. Same here, man. I hear the stories. I'm like, wow. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. Right. So,
yeah, it's I hear some pretty big horror stories, coming out of Nashville. There's, a lot of these people who are on radio and you think they're doing really good or not doing as good as they seem like they are, and really, your top 10, 15 artists that you hear on the radio all the time are really the only ones that are really, making headway and doing good. But, they're controlled and reigned quite a bit. And there's a lot of people making a lot of money off of them as well. So it's just this way we get to do our own thing, cut our own songs. We go in the studio and I record what I want to record, which to me, that's the way I think it should be. That allows my listeners to get to know the real me, by recording stuff that either I write or stuff that I've heard that someone else has written that really, touches something inside of me. And that puts my character on display, my personality on display. That's what's fair to the fans. That's the way it should be, I feel.
Yeah, you're being blessed for that, man. I'm rooting for you to keep going down that road, man, because, the authenticity is important. If you lose that, seems like you kind of lose a little piece of yourself. So staying true to yourself, man, that's the real deal right there. So music runs deep for you. How did you, being on a big rig, and what was the biggest gig that you played earlier? Did you ever have a moment where you thought you were about to make it big or hit it big? I know music is something you want to get big on it, but you can't force it. But you had that moment maybe. When did that take place?
I probably had 4 or 5 of those moments, 6 in my life. And man, I wouldn't take nothing for those moments, even though the outcome wasn't what I thought it would be. But everything's a stepping stone. And man, the last thing I want to do is just get ahead of God in anything in life. I always want him leading the way. And at the end of the day, he knows what's best for my family and me a lot more than I do. And so, I don't pray for those type of things to happen or to have number one or to get a big record deal. He knows the desires of my heart without me mentioning them. And we just work toward those things, and what's meant to be will happen, and what's not, there's a good reason that it's not meant to be. But we had some things back in Let's see. I want to say 2005, 6. I wrote a Christmas song called "Bring Daddy Home." This really heartfelt Christmas song about this little boy who had written a letter to Santa, asking what he wanted for Christmas, and the little boy had finished the letter, but his mom hadn't mailed it out yet. And the little boy comes home from school one day and he sees his mom in the kitchen crying, and she, he asks her why she's crying, and she proceeds to tell the little boy that his daddy won't be coming home for Christmas this year, and his dad was in Iraq. He was a soldier. And this little boy runs upstairs and he changes his letter to Santa. And anyway, I went to Nashville and demoed that song. And demos are demos. The productions aren't great on them, but it was a pretty good demo. And I give it to a friend of mine before I left town. And I hadn't even made it back home from Nashville. It's like a 3-hour drive from Nashville back to East Tennessee. And my phone rang, and there's a guy named Randy Boudreau on the phone, and I wasn't even familiar with his name, but he had written some really big songs like "Alibis" by Tracy Lawrence, and a couple of really big major hits. And anyway, my friend had played him this song, and he heard it, and he goes, "I need you to come back to Nashville and record this song." And I said, "But I'm spending all my money on demo, and I ain't got the money to record the song." And he said, "I didn't say anything about no money." He said, "I want to produce this song on you." So we went back to Nashville and that's the first time I did a real recording, with a producer, and I brought that thing back here to East Tennessee, and I gave it to a DJ friend of mine at WIVK in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's a huge country radio station in our area. Our cowboy friend Gunner, that was his name on the radio, my DJ buddy, and he played that thing, and the requests just started pouring in for it. And they ended up putting it on. He calls me, he goes, "Hey, your song made rotation." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What's that mean?" He goes, "Well, it's playing once every hour, or whatever, hour and a half, or once in 2 hours, whatever it was." And I was like, "Cool, that's awesome." I'm like, "Okay, this might be it. This might be the thing." And then he calls me back like the next day. He goes, "Dude, you're in upper rotation. You're getting more requests than anybody right now." And this was right during the Christmas period, from mid-November, that time frame leading into Christmas. And then Mike Hammond, which was the program director, he calls me and he goes, "What's your plans with this song? Do you have a record? You have a record label?" Or I'm like, "No, sir. I don't know. I just recorded it a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what to do with it." And he goes, "Well, you need to go to Nashville and get you a record deal." He said, "Record labels all over the country will send us songs like this, and once they perform like this and they get the kind of reporting back that we have for this song," he said, "that's when they put the big money behind it and they'll take that single nationwide." He said, "You need to go get a record deal." I'm like, "Okay, well, how do I do that?" And so I didn't, I didn't go down there and try to get the record deal and all that. And Christmas came and went, and you just start seeing the decline, going back down as far as your chances and this and that. But that opened so many other doors for me. That's really that song, "Bring Daddy Home," is what, with the little to my knowledge, did I know there was a huge icon in the country music business, songwriter, Country Music Hall of Fame songwriter by the name of Kim Williams, who lived up on top of Clinch Mountain, which is if you ever take 25E from Corbin down to exit 81 here in Tennessee, trucking, I know probably a lot of your listeners have ran that route. When you get to the top of Clinch Mountain, he lived right there, just up in the trees, a little higher than where that overlook is at. And he heard the song on IVK, and of course he was friends with everyone down there at IVK. Everybody knew who he was because of who he was. And Kim had written huge songs. I don't know how many Garth Brooks songs when Garth Brooks hit it big, and just had mega hits. Country Music Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, for example, was just one of them. Three Wooden Crosses, which is a multi-Grammy winning song across the board. And so, he had a lot of influence and could make calls for people. And so he called WIBK and said, who's that artist singing that Christmas song, that Bring Daddy Home song? And Mike told him and said, who's he with? What label's with? Mike goes, he he ain't got a label. He said, all I can tell you is Randy Boudreaux produced the song for him. And he knew that Kim and Randy knew each other because they had co-written on a couple of pretty big songs. And so Kim Williams calls Randy Boudreaux and goes, who is this kid you cut that Christmas song on, you know? And the very words that Kim said, Randy told him was, there's this truck driver from East Tennessee down there. And Kim Williams said, truck driver. And Randy said, yeah, he lives right there at the bottom of the hill from you, pretty much, over in Granger County. And, man, it's just funny to think about how all this ties together. But Kim said, we should cut that trucking song that we wrote for Kenny Chesney. He said, we got all the music. We got it tracked. If it's in the right key, maybe he could sing it right. So, they had written a song for Kenny Chesney called On the Road. And then Chesney decided he didn't want to cut it. He was wanting to cut a trucking song. They wrote a really good one. And then Chesney, for whatever reason, probably the label, telling him he couldn't. I don't know that for a fact. But anyway, it's a pretty country song, so I figure that's the case. But so that song was just laying around in the dust. And it was recorded with all the music. So all I had to do was go and sing to it, like singing. I went to studios like singing karaoke, They sent me the lyrics. I learned the song and the melody line, and I went and recorded that. And then I brought that back to my DJ buddy at the same radio station. And long story short, he ended up, WIVK had a lot of dealings with the people at Pilot Truck Stops, their home offices are in Knoxville. So they've done a lot of things together. And he had given that to some people at Pilot. And that's where we got the phone call about a year later out of the blue from the people at Pilot asking me what I want to do with this song. And I didn't even know what song they were talking about. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, this trucking song. It dawned on me. I'll never forget. I was coming out of Texas on a Friday, just got through reloading, trying to get back home for the weekend. And they called and was wanting to, see what we wanted to do with that song. And that's when I told Ed Letty was the guy's name that called me, and real heavy English accent. And he goes, what do you want to do with this song? I was like, man, I've been around trucking all my life. I think the best trucking songs have been written already. I said, but we've all heard them a million times. And I just think if somebody took the time to put some new stuff out there, it might be well accepted. And he said, well, go record an album. We'll put it in the stores and give it a shot. And that was in about 2011, I think. And then by mid 2012, we had CDs sitting in all the Pilots and Flying J's and across America. And it just kind of went from there.
That's what's up. Wow, that's awesome. What a beautiful story. I mean, you take a chance, and you hope that someone takes a chance with you. And, there's a lot of people involved in that. And just you being yourself is what I feel like really sold it, And then how did you balance all of that? Driving truck, recording songs. I mean, it's quite the juggle, isn't it?
It is. I mean, and family, figured family in there. I have a large family, I have four children. I got 3 daughters and a son. And so we had all that going on, first of all, an amazing wife, that helped me with it. Misty is a godsend in my life, and she stepped in and she would take care of the things I couldn't take care of while I was out trucking, making money. And, she was working also, though. She was waiting tables at Cracker Barrel, and she'd come home and work on that stuff and do all the other things involved with being a trucker's wife, home alone, with kids and things. And my mom was around to help out, as well. And just a lot of family support and God, and it was meant to be, because I don't think you can orchestrate that and say, yeah, look what I did. We pulled that off. It just happened the way it happened, and it happened to work out.
Yeah, timing's a lot, and the support is huge. So.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you see anybody having, I don't care what amount of, what amount of success you want to call it. There's different levels of, of success. You have the Kenny Chesneys of the world, and Jelly Roll, and, the big names, and you have, and the more independent artists, and you have, it's just, there's a lot of steps, and whatever step I'm on, or anybody's on, if they're having any kind of success, there's so many people that's responsible for that success that nobody ever hears their name or sees their faces. And we've just been blessed to have a whole bunch of people that's helped us along the way, and just, you just the type of things you look back and you just know, well, this was meant to be, or there's no way it could have happened.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
A good community.
Yeah,
That's what I like to call it. Even here for myself, be able to be here with you. It took a lot of people supporting me as well, so that we can make this interview happen. I'm really glad that we got to do this. So, I think, let's see, maybe there were some setbacks in the industry. How did you handle rejection, or did any of that come along too?
Yeah, like with anything else, you have those. You have setbacks. You have your battles. You have a lot of days you feel like you're just wasting your time and other people's time, and you just want to quit. But I don't know. I mean, I've had the rough days. I've had entire great bands just out of the blue just quit. Everybody in the band just quit. And it took 4 or 5 years to build that. And you got to start that process all over again. That's happened to me 2 or 3 times in the course of 30 years. And that's those are always hard. You feel like throwing in the towel. You go through some personal things. I went through divorce. I went through 2 divorces actually, and the second divorce I got custody of my kids. So all of a sudden I'm this single dad. With the responsibility of 2 daughters, making sure they got what they need and taken care of. And that was about the era where the Christmas song come along, and I had to. So that's just it. I've quit. I've had my fun. I've had my time. I've got my kids now. I got to refocus my on my effort to that, and I just completely quit with the music. I quit. I kept writing and doing things like that, but I stopped playing places. And going out and playing places, and I just really took my foot off the pedal. And it's so weird because that's when things started speeding up when I hit that, because it's my family. That's this music. It's fun and I love it, but it's really insignificant when it comes to family, and you need your family and everything. And I found out how insignificant it was. When Misty went through her breast cancer chapter, all of a sudden this didn't mean nothing. We just threw it all down and was there for her. But so it's we've had our challenges of blood, literal blood, sweat, and tears. I can give you accounts of all 3, but at the end of the day, for whatever reason, we just kept. We've motored on when we could motor on. When we couldn't, we sit and idled and waited until it was time to motor on. And it's always just kind of kept going for us.
Nice. Yeah, good values make up a great person, man. I really appreciate that, you sharing that. Being vulnerable in those situations, and a lot of people don't see that side of it. They don't know what all goes into just being who you are. It's not just all about the fame and the glory. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, like you said, that goes along with it. Even just in trucking. I mean, man, that's you can be a lone soldier in that, where nobody knows what you do in the middle of the night. I drive at night.
Yeah.
So that's good. All good things there to share. I appreciate that. At the same point, so you have a turning point that says, so picking it up, and did you go back to trucking and then go back to singing, or how were you able to maneuver those 2, or did you kind of was it all consistent throughout the time?
Well, I mean, I went through a couple of jobs because of the music. We were playing some NASCAR. We were doing a lot of pre-race concerts in 99, 2000. We kind of got a little gig going there, and I had these NASCAR. I've always been a big racing fan, and so we got these little gigs that were paying pretty good, and plus I was getting free tickets to some pretty cool NASCAR races and getting to go to do what I love to do. And with the J. Howard events out of Charlotte, North Carolina, they did all the staging and stuff for entertainment trackside on the start-finish line, for the stage where the drivers come up on for driver introductions and all that. And we were playing, like an hour-long concert leading up to driver introductions. So, we were doing those type of things. And, oh, man, I lost my dog in the fight. Read that question again a little bit, because I was making a point with all that.
Oh, no.
What you asked me?
Yeah, so I guess, from what I was reading, it looks like there were some years where you had to put down the singing, and you're also mentioning some of the struggles that were going on in your life. And it's like, wow, how did you pick it back up? Or did you just stay with trucking solely, or did you kind of mix them together?
Yeah. So no, we was doing, like I said, these NASCAR things, and we played places like Atlanta and Daytona and Charlotte and Bristol, Las Vegas and Texas, a lot of really cool tracks, and things were going pretty good. That's when the second divorce happened, got custody of the kids, and I was just like, I thought I just figured I was done with the music, like you're gonna be full-time dad now, and so like I said, that's when I felt like I took my foot off the pedal, and then things really started taking off with the Christmas song. That was in that 2004, 2005 era, and it's just always been, man, just it's hard to explain and describe. It's just every time if you think it was done, there was like just God had a bean bag there that you kind of fell back into. You didn't hurt yourself when you fell. It was comfortable for a little while. And then when it was time to go, he'd jerk it out from under and kick you in the tail, and something would happen that you jump back into it, that give you momentum with the music, and and you kind of pick up where you left off at, and sometimes a few times even be a few steps further up the ladder. So it's just I had some I've lost jobs over gigs. I have a big opportunity to go play Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 4th of July weekend, and I was driving for a company in Blaine, Tennessee, and I didn't take a load out that weekend. I said, I can't take a load. I'm gonna be down in Daytona, and I got fired. And so not long after that, I went to work for a company out of Greenville, Tennessee called ETI, Everhart Transportation, and the owner there and his wife he's old school kind of guy, and he grew up on those same old trucking songs that I did, and he's a big country music fan, and man, he just automatically, when he heard about what I did, he got behind it. And that allowed me to do so much. I mean, if I need to go record, go write, go make a video, go play a truck show, whatever it was, here. I mean, there was times he filled the truck up, and he said, go try and grab an empty trailer and throw your merchandise in the back and go do that truck show. And, that's one of them people that God puts in your life. He made so much of this possible, and so it was just, man, it's just been kind of crazy to sit here and put all these memories together and make it make sense to people how it's all unfolded. But when you get to where I'm at and you look back, it's not hard to see God's hand in every bit of it.
Beautiful. Another beautiful story. All right. I love it, man.
Your story. I mean, I don't know what else. This is true,
Yeah, I love it, man. That's what people love to hear, all that stuff just falling together.
Well, I think, that's one of the things that's really, I think, helped with our music, is it is real. And there's not a lot in this world that's real anymore, that's really authentic. You got all these reality shows, and, they're popular and everything, but everybody knows it's all skidded, I mean, there's what's real at the end of the day. What can you talk about that you're attached to that's real? And I think that's what made so many of the drivers that heard my music and my story become supporters and fans of it, because they know I'm one of them. They know I'm out there in the trenches every day, just like they are. And on top of that, chasing a dream and putting a lot of work and effort and doing all this other stuff outside of that, and them knowing how hard it is just to be a full-time driver, full-time family guy. Wonder, how in the world is he doing this, and it all connected. And it's like, they all want to see me do good because I'm one of them, and this thing's always been real. And I think that's 100% of what's kept it fueled and kept it moving forward for us.
I can relate. I can totally relate.
Yeah,
for sure. Man, so thinking about this show that's coming up, I don't know if you want to speak on it, but Mid-America Truck Show. How did you get involved with that show, and then what it turned out to be what it is today?
Oh, man, that's some pretty cool stories. I wish my wife was in here to share some of this with me. But, yeah, we went – I think the first year we went to Mid-American Truck Show, we just got Pilot had just picked up the CD and was distributing it in their truck shows. We're like, well, people's got to know about this album. They ain't gonna know to buy it just because it's in the store. Don't mean they're gonna go buy it. So how do we promote it and let people know? And we didn't have a clue what we were doing. We booked a room like 60 miles or 40 miles away from the truck show because they were cheaper. And we were definitely operating on a small budget back in those days. And we had a suitcase with wheels on it and a handle that pulled up. And we'd walk in that show on Thursday morning until the doors closed, and then Friday and then Saturday. And I don't know how many CDs, but the on the road CD. I mean, we'd go booth to booth and we just hand a CD and a card, shake a hand, and start building relationships. And then made friends with the folks at OIDA. And then so the next year we did the same thing, but we got booked out in the Papa John's concert for a little concert on Saturday night, which was a lot of fun. But they always had the big concert on Friday night. So my wife, Misty, made it a go early on. She goes, I'm not stopping until you're in there on that big stage performing, And which, that happened finally about, I don't know, I think 2007, 18 or something like that. We got to open up. I can't remember who the headliner was, but we finally got to perform there, and it went over really great. And we've done 2 or 3 more openings for that show over the years since then. And then this year we got the invitation to be the headliner, man, of all the people they could have picked. We got the call, and so before we go in there and get to play about 6-7 songs, and you got to get out of the way. And this year we get to go in there and play our whole show. So we're pretty excited about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
man. That's awesome. Good story again. Yeah, man. Good memories. I think it's going to just keep adding to your success and all those that are supporting you as well. I champion you, man. I think you're the real deal. Looking into what you have there, I was inspired myself. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We've hit some roadblocks. I don't know how much time you have on here, if we're getting close or not, but
we're good.
There's always roadblocks, and I think especially if you're doing something that's God's will, you're going to get tenfold probably the roadblocks thrown in front of you. And case in point, it was about a little over a year ago. Most people knew my mom. Everybody called her Mama J. I never known a woman called Mama by so many different people as my mom was, but she would go to all the shows with us back when she was healthy, and everybody loved Mama J. And she fell on some health issues. And back, not this past Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving of 2024, she got COVID or caught COVID, and before that, she was early stage dementia and things like that. And but when she got the COVID, it really started going downhill pretty fast for us. And as a business with the record label, we were doing good, but on a personal side of financials, which blows my mind about business, people talk about wanting to be in business for themselves, and just because you have some money in the business doesn't mean you can take it out and use it for your personal. There's laws against that and things. And so we was doing decent in the business side, but the personal financials were terrible. And I was just in that. Usually any other time in this type of scenario, I could just go out and get in the truck, hit it hard for a couple months, and dig myself back out. I've always been able to do that, and I've put ourselves in that position many times, doing this music, and have to just go out there and, dig ourselves out. And we've always had the ability to do that. But this particular time, mom had gotten in such bad shape that I couldn't just go out and do that and leave her here with my wife. It was too much for her by herself or any one person, the care that she was needing. And man, we was dangling, by fingertip, hanging on to the edge of the cliff, and I told my wife, I said, we're just going to have to lay off the music, just go back to get this figured out and get back to working full time and doing the music part time or just when we can. And and then just out of the blue, there, right there at the last minute, I get this phone call from the folks at Bennett. Let me back up just a little bit. While we're in that corner, I was still working at ETI, and I get a phone call from my boss lady, and she goes, and she's almost in tears. I'm like, "What's wrong, Lisa?" And she goes, "Hey, we love you and we believe in you." Because at this time they were sponsoring my outgoing fuel in the bus for the shows, and they were keeping my insurance going. It's like I was a driver there, even though I wasn't driving that much. And so the insurance people come in and audited them, and Lisa was in the office. She was dealing with some cancer deals with her dad, and so Lisa would be pretty good about sweeping certain things under the rug, And so a few things didn't get swept under the rugs, and the insurance people come across my file, and first thing they ask is, why are we covering this guy? He hasn't been on the payroll in 5 months. Yeah. And the girls that were there told him, well, he's this Tony and this, and we sponsor him. And he goes, that's cool, but we can't cover him. So in the middle of, dangling off that cliff, I get that call that we didn't have insurance anymore, and of course with Misty being a breast cancer survivor and patient and all that, insurance is something that's very, needed. And I was like, oh, this is the final blow, and then out of the blue, at this time we just put the Greatest Shifts album out, and Bennett had sponsored that album, and which is a trucking company out of southern Georgia, down there in McDonough, Georgia. And Lisa, my boss, goes, Tony, well, can't Bennett do something for you? They're they're so much more of a bigger company than we are. And I told her, I was like, and it had been made known that there was an offer there at Bennett if I decided I wanted to do that. And they've been trying to get me to come to Bennett for about a year and a half. And I would tell them no because of my loyalty to ETI. I told you earlier, how much they done for me. If it wasn't for them, Bennett wouldn't know who I was to even want me to come work for them, and help promote their brand. And I told her, I said, there's been a deal out there, Lisa. I said, but I won't take it. And she said, why not? And I said, well, if it weren't for you and Klein, none of this would be happening. And my loyalty is with you. And that's the way it always will be. And she said, Tony, honey, we hadn't been helping you all this time to keep you bottled up here. We've been helping you to hopefully see you grow. And if Klein, her husband, if Klein knew you had an offer and you didn't take it and it would better your life and would help you reach your goals better, he will kick your ASS, he said, And so that's when the deal with Bennett come along, right in the clutch of we were done. Our goose was cooked, and that happened. And, I made the phone call to David Lowry with Bennett, and I'm like, hey, man, I wouldn't have normally done this. I said, but I've got the blessings from ETI, my boss man, lady, to talk to you about what you guys have in mind, wanting to do. And then we cut this deal with Bennett, and life got better. I got a good little salary I get every week, and a certain amount of sponsorship that goes to my label every month. And it's been a big blessing. It's just that group of people, like I was telling you earlier, man, when you're having success, there's so many people that's responsible for it that nobody sees or meets them or sees who they are. And like I said, we've been blessed with a ton of those, and God's always put it on the people's hearts at the right time to do stuff like that for us.
Wow. Another beautiful story. That is amazing. That was pulling on me, man. You put me right there.
It's all real, man. It's all true stories and struggles, and everybody goes through struggles, no matter what you are in life. I had struggles on the trucking side of things. You have struggles. It's doing what you're doing right now. I'm sure when you get done here, you got to probably hurry up and go get ready for a load or do something, catch up on some logs or something that you got to do. That you're putting off, and a lot of sacrifices to be made. So it's anything worth pursuing in life is always going to have its challenges.
Yeah. I could cut it out if you want, but do you want to share about your podcast venture?
Well, yeah, sure. It's it's called, I think Charlie cut me off guard on that one. I think we're going to be airing the first episode. It's called The Road Show. with Tony Justice and friends. I think we're going to have 10 or 12 shows this year. You know, we're not going to go for every month for the first year. We got them all pre-recorded over the winter. I think we're going to start airing them next month. So pretty excited about it, man. We got some killer guests. We got Aaron Tippin. We got Ruby Lee from The Voice. Lisa from Ice Road Truckers is one of our guests, man. She was really cool to have on there. And got the NASCAR hauler driver for Austin Hill, Richard Childress Racing, Austin Hill, the driver, and just a really bunch of cool guests. We talk a lot about NASCAR, country music, and trucking, and those are three things that I love. So it's a lot of fun. I hope everybody can tune in and be on my YouTube channel at The Tony Justice. If y'all hadn't went there and subscribed yet, do so. And we just released the first episode of the remaking of Purgatory. You know, we're doing a complete makeover on my truck. Hoping to get it done by Matt. So we're going to do a reveal at the Bennett booth there, the Bennett Family of Companies booth at the Mid-American Truck Show. And so we're a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff happening on my YouTube channel for people to go check out. So get some pretty good content on there.
Heck yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, I got to check out yeah, man. That's a blessing. Yeah. And, I got to check out some of your videos on Facebook, that you put out too. So putting your face out there, and like you said, this industry is either all or nothing. So
the
support you get keeps you going.
Absolutely, man. We've been blessed with so many people.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I think the podcast is going to be a hit. That's going to be great, man.
We'll see, man. I don't know how I did, but it's we got some learning to do, but I think it'll grow, and we'll see how it does.
For sure. Yeah,
you don't know until you try. That's kind of my philosophy, and so that's what we did. And we didn't get too many sponsors for it, but we got enough to kind of cover what it cost us to do the first go around. So we haven't lost any money on the deal. So
there you go.
Good start.
And the reward is all the people that you're going to be helping when they listen to the podcast. Podcasting is so nice because that authenticity, that authentic, original, like you said, real and raw, like that, instead of it being produced and packaged and made look real pretty, So even if there's something that doesn't go right, you never know how it's going to turn out when someone listens to it, because they like that real, just not packaged up and fake.
Two real people sitting back,
talking
back and forth about things. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, man, especially like you said, I know.
Yeah, I've never been one to sit around back to the hypertension thing as a child. I think. I've never been one to really sit and watch podcasts or videos on my phone or nothing like that. So it should at least be original, because it's not like I've watched any podcasts to get any ideas from. So that'll either help me, or that'll either really help it or really hurt it. One of the two. I don't know which.
I think you're going to do great. You don't have to be just like the other person. That's your fingerprint. I think too, what I like about it, I try to encourage, a lot more people, if they want to have a podcast, that they bring that original flavor that can't be duplicated.
Yeah.
And, you go down the road, you listen to music, and after a while, it's like, man, it all sounds kind of the same. I got to change up my genre, just to listen to something different, kind of mix it up, But podcasting, right away, you get that mixture right from the jump, So, I think that's going to be good. Good surprises ahead for you guys, for your listeners as well.
Thank you. We're excited. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Man, I can't wait to see it and check it out. This year, you got things ahead of you, looking at the mats and also the podcast. You got family. You got a lot of reasons to be blessed and thankful for what God gives us, right?
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. Every day.
I can't wait to check out the truck. Getting that redone. Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
See the smile automatically come on my face when you brought that up. It's kind of weird. It's when the music started getting traction, I was in my truck Purgatory, and so that truck branded with me all these years, right along with the music, and it's kind of like not the same level of a success, but comparable to when I started doing this deal with Bennett, like, we got to bring Purgatory. Purgatory's got to come part of the deal. That was the ETI truck, and I just, it's a company truck, and I've just been driving it all these years, and taking care of it, and I treated it like it's mine, and so it's kind of like the Duke boys without the General Lee. I'm like, that truck, I think, is more recognizable and better known than I am. I mean, honestly. And it was funny because we were having a meeting at Bennett, and we're walking into a restaurant in McDonough, Georgia, which I've never lived there a day in my life. And this guy comes walking out of this restaurant. He goes, "Tony Justice." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "Hey, man, I know you loved your music, this and that." And I'm with all the Bennett people, and we're having this conversation about Purgatory. And the first thing he asked me after we say hi and all the pleasantries, he goes, "Is Purgatory here?" That was like the icing on the cake. They're like, okay, we probably need to bring this truck with Tony when he comes down here, And so, we've been lucky over the years to build a lot of relationships. So Purgatory's got a lot of miles on her, man. It's 2006 model, and she's needing some TLC. And throughout the years of driving her and making building relationships with people, it just, the topic came up about doing a remaking of Purgatory. And I started talking to some people, and first thing I know, I'll do the stretch on it, man. I'll sponsor that. And then the folks was at a truck show one night, and the folks from Talladega Fiberglass were hanging out with us, and we're talking about it. And like, man, we'll do the fenders and box in the frame and do your fuel tank panels and, man, T-bars and things like that. If you can get it down there to us. So, we've got some great sponsors, Bennett being, number one for buying the truck, and then, C&W Repair for doing the stretch. We have Talladega Fiberglass, put all the goodies on it, trucks, lights, give me over 381 lights that we're going to be, dual revolution that we're going to be putting in it. And we got Mayberry Chrome Shop, my buddy over there, Mr. Carpenter, and all those guys at the Mayberry Chrome Shop, Mayberry Truck Show over there. They're doing the final little touches and the paint job and all the body work, and Air Dog's doing my fuel system. I mean, so next thing I know, I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, we're getting to redo this truck. I mean, it's going to look like a show truck. I'm not going to be a show truck guy and enter it in shows, but we like to have it at many of the truck shows as we can, just to be there, because I show up at all these shows and everybody asks me, "Where's Purgatory? Where's Purgatory?" I'm like, well, I had to drive the bus, so couldn't bring Purgatory, So we're working on the deal. We're going to have the truck and have Purgatory at more of the truck shows, but she's going to be sitting there looking as good as the trucks in the show, hopefully.
That's cool, dude. I mean, even the name, I love the name. How did you come up with that, or how did that happen? Is there a story?
I get that question a lot. So I was watching a Western with my dad. I don't know, I'm 9, 10 years old. I don't know how old I was, younger, definitely. And it's about these outlaws, 3 outlaw guys. They get killed, and they go to Purgatory. And Purgatory was like a little Western town. And they couldn't get in any trouble, man, because if they did, that's it. They're going straight to hell, So they're doing all these good deeds in this Purgatory town, and a couple more outlaws later on die. And these guys, they just don't care. They're still meaner. They're robbing, stealing from people, and being mean to people, and there's nobody there willing to try to do anything about it, because they don't want to do anything wrong and mess things up while they're in Purgatory. They want to go to heaven. And so the original outlaws that went to Purgatory, after so long, they just had enough. They couldn't take it no more. And it turns out that was their test. So they actually stood up for all the people and laid it on the line. We'll just damn our souls to hell, but we're not letting these guys push these people around anymore. So they take them out. And that's what actually got them into heaven, was because they did that, And so I just thought about that movie and the meaning of Purgatory. And I'm like, trucking's kind of, somewhere between heaven and hell. It's heaven some days, and other days just pure hell. And, I said, well, I couldn't figure out a better name for a truck than Purgatory.
That's what's up. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, because when you're out there driving, man, you see some things happen.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, if I didn't take this job serious, even on that note, just on a safety note.
Yeah.
you can really hurt people out there. So you
Oh
got to
man,
take your job serious. Yeah.
yeah, it's the craziest job in the world, man. It could be you can be out there riding along the prettiest bluebird sky day, everything going your way, the world's perfect. To the world's upside down and just in a blink of an eye, the whole world being turned upside down.
Yeah.
I know people it's happened to, and it's a risky occupation, man. It's every second of it. It's a huge risk, I mean, and even when these accidents happen, a lot of times it's not these drivers' fault. They still find a way to make it your fault, even if it's
right.
Okay, the driver didn't mess up. He was legal. He's doing everything right. Well, let's rip this truck apart and see what was wrong with it that could have caused the accident.
Or the company.
Oh, okay. Well, the truck's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, let's go to the company. Did they watch this mandatory 15-minute DVD that costs $800 that tells them all stuff that they already know, but it's mandatory that they buy that and watch it and sign this sheet of paper. I mean, those lawyers just keep digging until they find something, man. And it's a risky business. I've told people, I've always, had the desire to be an owner operator, but I'm not a great mechanic. I'm just kind of I can do little things, I can service a truck. I can service one and, do some ins and outs. If a motor needs to come out, if you need to pull heads or change a transmission, I've never been that caliber of a mechanic, nor do I have a shop or the tools to do that with. So I've always been afraid to take that leap and buy a truck because if anything like that happens, I'm going to have to pay to have that fixed. And I know you're working with some pretty tight margins as owner operators, especially these days. And I knew that if I had to pay for that kind of stuff that I probably wouldn't make it, but it's just risky, and even if you can do all those things, and you got to have one bad little incident, it's not even your fault. You have no control over it. Then you have all this litigation to come at you and, insurance claims and lawyer fees. And you have to definitely be genuinely passionate about this industry to do it and to keep doing it and to stay at it because it's not a lot of money in it like it used to be, and the risks are even higher than they used to be, especially with traffic volume the way it is now versus back when I started in 2000. I mean, back in 2000, I always liked to run at nights, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. kind of guy when I trucked. And you would hardly see no four-wheelers on the road at night. You just see trucks, car every now and then. And now it's, 45% more traffic at nights than there was back then, or 50. There's cars 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's crazy. It's costing more to do it, and the risks are increasing. It's all at the same time. My hat's off to all the guys and gals out there that keep doing it day in and day out, because I'd hate to know what happened to this world if it wasn't for those folks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. So, so speaking of healthcare too, you add that in there. Just trying to take care of your health.
Just running the business alone, especially small business these days, small business don't ever get a tax break. I never known small business to get a tax break, It's crazy.
Sure, I can cut it out or not, but you say, hurt your leg?
Yeah, I broke my leg. So went fishing, me and my son. So me and my son have had it on our bucket list to go to Florida and fish for those Florida strain bass, go down there and do some wild shiner fishing the months of January and February when they're getting ready for their spawn and really feeding up. And me and him have been fishing together since he was big enough to walk. And so finally got the chance this year to go do that. And lo and behold, I broke my leg while we were down there in the boat. We both had a rod apiece with some live bait on it, and I baited up a third rod just to kind of throw out just to increase our odds. Have an extra bow out there, and I thought I'd push the button that lets the line pull off the reel when you cast it, so that way if something hit it, it would just take line. Well, I didn't, and it was just kind of sitting up there by itself, and I get up in the back of the bass boat, and I hear a noise, and I turn around. And that rod is going out of the boat, and it's actually in the water except for about that much of it. And then the reel's hung on the only thing that saved it was the reel caught on the side of the boat.
Yeah.
kind of hung up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a rod that my wife bought me last year for my birthday, made by All Star Rods. It's a really big. I use it for throwing a rig, and this is like almost a $300 rod, and it's probably got another $240 reel on it. That's $600 outfit about to go in the lake. So I just turned and ran. I just made it go for the rod, and in between the passenger seat and the driver's seat, when you come off the deck, there's a step there, and then you step down from there to the main floor of the boat. And my son has a little portable radio that he keeps in the boat, and he Bluetooths music, listens to a little music, and he keeps it on that first step, pushed all the way to the back, and you still have that much step on. But in my haste, I stepped on that radio, and it rode out from under my feet. And I come down on my left foot in the boat with all my weight. Couldn't get my right foot down to take any of the weight off of it, and rode it backwards. And then somehow fell forward, put my hand out, and stuck a big hook through my hand. It's healing up pretty nice. But yeah, the process of all that, we did save the pole. We did catch the fish.
Yeah.
And I was in the floor with a topwater mouse lure about that big stuck in my hand and a broke leg, and laughing and reeling in pain all at the same time, because we always do something stupid when we're fishing together. We always make a great memory, get to laugh at each other for something stupid every time. And that day was my turn to do something stupid. It just ended up it was a broke leg.
Oh man! I hope the healing process goes well, and you can just keep celebrating it. Yeah, that victory, man. Getting the pole and the fish and the memory. So
sometimes Lord
get the losses, right?
Yeah, man. Sometimes the Lord's got to slow us down a little bit, and if we ain't smart enough to figure that out ourselves, he'll kind of do that. So it's really allowed me to get some things done that I probably wouldn't have done, because I really can't really do a whole lot of anything else. So get some things done that I usually put off. So everything happens for a reason.
I'm sure you're going to make the best of it. You're a champion through and through. So, man, this has been an honor to be able to have you on and talk about mats, talk about the memories and the struggles, that everybody goes through. Not just no one's exempt, and showing that you have that passion, that grit to keep pushing through. I mean, staying true to who you are. And I know God plays a big part in your life, so that's good for everyone to know that we can lean upon Him. So, man, I really thank you for being part of my show as well, coming on and telling your story. I champion all my guests because their stories is what makes it all possible. So I really appreciate you having me here. So to wrap it up, before you go, where can folks find your music, some of the good things that you're doing? Do you mind letting the listeners know? Right.
Yeah, so we've been on good old Facebook forever. That's my go-to, so you can find us there, Tony Justice Music Band page. Just search. It's the Star Stripes and White Lines logo that'll pop up. We're on Twitter, The Tony Justice, YouTube, The Tony Justice, Instagram. My website's TonyJusticeMusic.com. Pretty much keep up with everything I'm doing there. If you're not a social media person, we post our concert schedules and videos there. I think we even put the Large Cars and Guitars Truck Show link. When you register your truck for the show, it actually takes you to our Tony Justice Music website. And so you can register your truck for the shows, check out all of our other stuff on the website as well. So it's just look around. We're out there, and all the music's on all the streaming platforms. So Pandora, Spotify, all that good stuff. So check it out.
That's awesome. That's good, man. That's what's up. So so for all the listeners, check out Tony Justice. He's got a lot to share, a lot of great songs, and a lot of good memories to make for the future coming up here. So be on the lookout for Tony Justice and his crew. So again, thank you for coming on. And for all the truckers out there who keep the wheels turning, always stay safe on the road. And until next time, Trucking Ray is here signing off from That's Delivered. And Tony,
I just want to wish continued blessings to you and your hard work and your podcast, man. We'll keep you guys in our prayers. Hope you keep growing, and I appreciate what you're doing for the industry as well. There's a lot of people out here doing a lot of good for the industry, and you're one of them. So keep it up, man. Keep up the hard work.
Oh, man. Wow. That's what's up. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll be riding on that one for a while.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free, knowing your parking is covered.